So I think we need to say that this figure isn't super new, right? We have seen this mold how many times now? It's definitely the go-to, more classic, traditional Iron Man mold. Is that a bad thing? Not at all. Now, granted, yeah, it still has the pins, but the pinless technology is still so recent, I can kind of forgive it for that. And honestly, this is one of the most fluid, nice Marvel Legends I have ever handled in the modern Hasbro era. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a massive Iron Man fan that has every single version of this mold. I'm just saying that because it's a fun, nice figure. Now, I was really surprised with this one. I was honestly just thinking it was a new helmet at first glance. But it does have a few other new things going on with it that I think are pretty cool. It's definitely a nice figure, and I really like the packaging and everything. But I do have to say, I feel like the upcharge for this being some sort of retro figure with this base and the backdrop and everything, it's neat. It's a neat little inclusion, but I don't really feel like it's worth the upcharge. And it's kind of crazy looking at this figure and, you know, the packaging and everything you get, and seeing and knowing that this is like over $30. Meanwhile, the figure that it's homaging that came out 20 years ago was less than 10. It's kind of crazy to think about. Now, granted, yes, the technology is definitely improved, but also, like, the figures themselves are pretty comparable. So it's kind of crazy to me that, you know, this new one is so expensive. But if you want to hear more about how I feel about Hasbro's price hikes, I did a whole video talking about that. Today we're just talking about the figure, and yes, I bought 2 of them because I love this packaging. I do have a carded original Toy Biz Iron Man that I was thinking about showing in this video, but the package is not in very good shape. So I don't really think it's too worth showing, but it does have a lot of homages. Like the logo's in the same spot. Reversible backdrop, has a similar call card right there. It's definitely pretty faithful to the original Marvel Legends packaging. Now, granted, it's not a clamshell anymore, and it doesn't have a comic book, but it's still really nice. The back, too, you get a little read up there. You get all the little logos for the characters. You get to see Iron Man right there. And it's kind of funny that he comes with the Stark backdrop, given how you actually got an actual piece of plastic of that with the original figure. But I digress. It's still a really nice package, and I really do like it. So, this figure is really nice. I mean, you definitely, you know, pay for it. But it's a really nice figure. Is it one of the best versions of this mold? I'm inclined to say yeah. Iron Man-wise, like traditional classic Iron Man-wise, this might be my favorite version of it. I definitely love this helmet sculpt. It's so cool looking. I really love the multiple slits. I love the angle to it. It doesn't look dorky, because a lot of versions of this helmet make it look dorky. And you'll see I'll have a comparison later in the video. But I've never thought that the horn helmet should be dorky. It looks cool in a lot of the artwork. And I'm like, man, I want a figure that doesn't make it look dorky. And thankfully, we finally have one. It just looks great. And I love the panel lining, too, that they did. It really does kind of bring it back to the Toy Biz era. Now, granted, it's not like totally dirty everywhere like Toy Biz figures were, but it definitely gives it a little bit of that charm, seeing a little bit of the panel lining there. The colors, oh man, especially on this helmet, are just so nice and glossy. They're so clear and they're so crisp. I really have no complaint with the coloration of this figure. It just looks gorgeous. Now, we have seen this body mold many times. Let's just get it out of the way now. We know the articulation. It does have some new parts in the torso, so you can see this torso range is kind of a little, might be a little different. Let's just bring it in real quick. You can see it's pretty comparable to the old torso. Actually, if anything, I think it bends back a little bit more. You can see some of the main differences. I don't even think they needed to do a new torso, but they did. It doesn't have the little things on the side anymore. You can see the musculature is a little different. The arc reactor is definitely different. How it's done now. If you actually do the ab crunch, you actually feel this little arc reactor like moving. It's kind of funny. Like, you can't really see it, but like if you put your thumb over it, you feel it kind of getting pushed by the joint. I definitely don't mind this this change. I actually think the new torso is a little better. I think it's definitely an improvement. I think it has the same... Does it have the same butt, though? No, I guess it's different, because, I mean, the belt's different. I don't know, it looks very similar. It looks like it's modified. And yes, I'm looking at the butts to compare. But obviously, new helmet as well. And we'll get into head swaps, how possible those are. But yeah, we know the articulation of this mold. It's good. It's a good mold. It is a damn good mold. You get a lot of range of articulation. Unfortunately, it does have the repulsor hands, and they're still just swivels, but I mean, it's kind of what we're used to with Iron Man nowadays. I do wish they were hinged, but it's not the end of the world. Move that. Give that a little tilt right there. So yeah, it's pretty similar. And the legs are assembled correctly on this one. So that's good. So, what does he come with? He comes with some stuff that's pretty nice. Obviously, he comes with this backdrop and the display base. The display base is really cool. I like how it has the Classic Legends logo on it. In the front, just showing a nice issue of Iron Man there with all the suits flying. I'd love to see... Some of them look so similar, it's not even worth mentioning. But some of these look kind of goofy. Like, that one has a nose. That's kind of funny looking. And this one is just permanently like, screaming or something. I don't know what's going on there. He's a little distraught. But yeah, a lot of them just like, look at those. Those are basically identical. Look at that. But that one is actually the one we are... I can't even talk anymore. That is the one we are reviewing today. That's that armor right there, except it has a different chest. That's a triangle chest, and this one's not a... You can tell it's a similar helmet. Backside has that Stark Industries sign, which, like I said, is pretty funny given how the actual original figure has a plastic representation of this, but with this you just get a cardboard backdrop. And it's like 3-4 times as pricier as the original one, so that's nice. But what else do you get? You get a new Tony head sculpt, which is pretty nice. And I just dropped it. You get a new Tony head sculpt, and it's pretty nice. I really do like it. I like the blue highlights in the hair too, and I don't know if you can notice, they actually are starting to use the face printing technology on comic book figures. Now, I do want to compare this to the previous nicest Marvel Legends Tony head sculpt. And, well, Marvel Legends like comic, I think the absolute nicest is the gaming one, the Gamerverse. Yeah, those look really nice. You can tell they're going for like different eras of Tony, and I have no problem with that. I think they both look absolutely awesome. I think these are both great. Now, I do have to say, though, oh my gosh, we fumbled it again. The hole on the new one isn't as deep, so I don't think it sits on the body as well, but we'll get to that. Of course, the figure has fisted hands, but he also has the repulsor hands, and I've already taken the liberty of kind of combining it and seeing how it'll look. Of course, he already has the fisted hands on him, but we also have the repulsor hands, and I've already taken the liberty of kind of combining it, because you get the repulsor effect and like the stream effect that also came with Ironheart. These are really nice effects, and I'm really happy to have more versions of them. You can put them around the arm like this, which I think looks pretty cool, but I feel like it's more designed to kind of go around the leg. But you only get the 2 effects, so you can't really have them like doing a full blast. So it kind of makes more sense to have them around the arm so you get the full effect. We'll go ahead and put one of these on. Just one. The swap's pretty easy, typical Marvel Legends swap. But you just have to be mindful of the cloud here. It was made for Ironheart's leg. And, she is a teenage girl. So it's a little different than this armored arm. So it doesn't fit on as nicely. But once you get it on there, kind of get it wrapped around. Get the effect back on. And the effect is different than some of the other ones. And I'll show that too. You can see, just get that wrapped around. And that looks pretty cool. I dig that. I definitely dig that. That looks really nice. But yeah, you can see, let's do the comparison we've all been waiting for with the, this is like the AI Tony Stark, but it's very, very close to just more classic Iron Man. For whatever reason, his effect doesn't want to stay in anymore. That's nice. But yeah, you can see the effects are different. It's cool. The reds are ever so slightly different, but I don't feel like it's that noticeable. Same with the yellows. So one question that I feel like many of us have had, can these helmets swap? So let's find that out. Because obviously both of these figures were made with interchangeability with their heads in mind. So let's pop that off. And let's see, will it swap? Yes, it does. It swaps. So that's nice. If you want, you have that option if you want it. So let's see, because I know some people are complaining about the arc reactor color on the other one. Ooh, this is kind of tight. Yeah, I don't want to put that on all the way. I'm worried it might kind of be hard to get off. So it will look lower if you get that on, but you can see You know, the heads are swappable. But there's definitely a slight difference in the size of the ball joint. So like you can see this is on, but it's a little loose. Just pop that off. One thing I do also want to show though is the old mold with the Tony Stark head on it. Oh geez. Man, for making these heads swappable, Hasbro sure makes it hard to put on. So you can see that sits pretty naturally. You know, that's a pretty natural sitting position for that head there. But the new one, man, it's just not really that good. I mean, it's a good head sculpt, but I feel like it just sits a little too high. Like just ever so slightly. It's not a deal breaker at all, but I just feel like it's a little too high, just a little bit, ever so slight. I don't know, maybe it's the difference in the chin structure that kind of gives me that vibe about it, but it's not the end of the world. It's not. It's not a giraffe neck or anything. I just feel like it's ever so slightly too high, just ever so slightly. So I do want to make one last comparison before I end off the video, and that is with Hasbro's first attempt at this kind of Iron Man, and that would be with this guy, which I actually bought at Kmart years ago when it came out. I felt bad for it because it was the only one sitting on the pegs, and I'm like, you know what, I don't really have a classic comic Iron Man, I'll get this one. Ugh. Yeah, So, yeah, this one wasn't bad at the time. It wasn't. It's still not bad. It's still not bad. It's still a decent figure. You still get decent posability out of it. You know, it's not bad. It's just very, very dated. Has dated hips, dated proportions. Like, look at this guy. He's a stick. He's an absolute stick. Dated coloring, too. They use, like, this metallic pearly plastic that I don't feel like they really use too often anymore. And when they do, it looks a lot better than this. He almost has this, like, translucence look to him. He's not translucent. No, he's not. I just held him over my light. But he almost looks like he's translucent. And that helmet sculpt, that is... okay, so let's zoom in on this helmet. That is gorgeous looking. That is perfect. That one, not so much. Not so much. So yeah, I don't really have too much else to say. There is this Marvel Legends 20th Anniversary Iron Man. So many anniversaries. MCU 10th Anniversary, Marvel 85th Anniversary, Marvel Legends 20th Anniversary. All these anniversaries, it's getting a little confusing. But yeah, man, this figure is pretty great. Is it worth the upcharge? I mean, it does come with bonus stuff. It comes with this display base and everything, but I'm sure most of us will probably never use it. Because I feel like most Marvel Legends collectors kind of integrate all their figures into this one grand collection. I don't think a lot of them are going to have just these 20th anniversary off on their own with these bases. I feel like most people are going to put them in with their shelves. Like, I also got the Captain America. That's just going with my, you know, I've got a Hulk. I'll have Captain America. I want to get a Thor at some point, you know. Just my classic superheroes, you know. I'm not going to have this Iron Man and that Captain America displayed together, but I could be wrong. You know, many people might decide to do it that way. But yeah, I just feel like the bonuses don't really make it worth the price. I don't feel like the packaging, while it's a nice packaging, I don't feel like it makes it worth this extra money, you know. Like I've said, I did a whole video talking about it. Hasbro definitely charges what they know people are willing to pay instead of the actual cost of the item. I think the prices. I did the calculations. The prices now, even including inflation, are more expensive than they used to be. You know, something that was 10 back in the day should only, or something that was 15 back in the day should only be like 18 or 19 now, but they've upped it to like 25. It's ridiculous. But anyways, prices aside, awesome figure. If you're a big Iron Man fan, if you really like this suit, I recommend it. You can't go wrong with it. It's a pretty cool figure. So yeah, there we go. Special shout out to the patrons of Patreon. Thank you all so much for the continued support. I always appreciate it. Alrighty, there we go. Have a good one, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.